Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Victor Alunge on Real Estate. My name is Victor Alunge, your regular anchor, and I'm happy to be with you this week, and I hope we have a great time together. This week I will be looking at the Real Estate Regulation and Development Bill 2021 that was passed by the Senate, but rejected by the House of Rep. This is a major, proposed legislation that if the House of Rep had actually assented to it, will have actually altered the architecture of the real estate development in this country. And that alteration will have been significantly contentious. But thank God, our democratic good governance in the country actually came to the rescue of the industry. And the House of Rep rejected it. But why will the House of Rep reject it? Not minding, why the Senate actually passed it. I will be looking at this after this short break. Please don't go away. Welcome back from that short break. It's still Victor Alunge on Real Estate. I said earlier that we will be looking at the Real Estate Regulation and Development Bill 2021 that was passed by Senate about 3 or 4 months ago, but eventually rejected by the House of Rep. Because for a bill to become law, the Senate and the House of Rep will have to pass it. But because it failed at the House of Rep, it will not become a law. But why would the House of Rep actually reject it? The House of Rep rejected it from our own investigation because of some incongruities in the bill, some deliberate, I don't know whether it was oversight or lack of proper understanding by the Senate in passing it. There are a lot of things in the bill. I think number one is the fact that the bill vests statutory powers in REDAN. That is mind-boggling, and it's actually surprising. And if you look at the introduction, the goal of that bill was actually to engender transparency, effective and efficient, administration of real estate business in this country. But if you now vest statutory powers in an association, where then lies this transparency and the effective administration? And apart from that, the Real Estate Developers Association of Nigeria, REDAN, was actually handed a unique power of being a judge in his own case. The bill allocated 3 seats. 3 members of REDAN will have to be members of both the investigating and arbitration panels. Don't forget that REDAN is a private association of real estate developers, and it's an association registered through its trustees under CAMA. What of the other stakeholders? What of the other associations? Why would REDAN alone be given such a huge power? As if that is not actually enough. The bill categorically allocated the chairmanship of the governing council to REDAN, because it says that the minister will appoint on the recommendation of the Real Estate Development Association of Nigeria, a private developers association. And apart from that, it says that 2 persons from each of the 6 geopolitical zones will represent REDAN on the governing council, and that the secretary of that council will also be appointed on the recommendation of REDAN. So is this actually, is REDAN a regulator? Has REDAN transmuted to a regulatory body? Because the last we know, REDAN was registered under Companies and Allied Matters Act, if this bill was to become law, then you have REDAN effectively being in charge of regulation of real estate business. The bill also stated that, look, the Governing Council will carry out regulatory functions, but in consultation with REDAN. And this effectively makes REDAN to be superior to all the other stakeholders in the industry. These are the reasons why the House of Reps, in their wisdom, decided that this bill cannot become law. And the issue of fees, fees, fines, and charges, shall be prescribed by council according to the bill, but as recommended by REDAN. So REDAN will have to tell the council what it should charge, what should be fees to be paid, and fines to be paid. And in any case, some of us are actually wondering why we need, a council to regulate an industry that is traditionally a meeting point of experts from different professions. We have architecture, we have quantity surveying, we have estate surveying and valuation, we have engineering, we have town planning. These are professions that made up the industry. And each of these professions have regulatory boards that regulate the activities of the professionals who are members of this profession. And the point actually is, if we are going to have, an overall regulator or whatever, should it be through this system of actually asking businessmen, because REDAN is actually an association of businessmen. The business they are engaged in is property development. So you are now asking businessmen, those who are not professionals in the real sense in the industry, now to be regulating the professionals. I think there is something that is not right there. And thank God the House of Reps, actually spotted that and halted that advance to, becoming law. I think this country, we need to always learn from jurisdictions that have successfully managed their industry better. I've looked around, I cannot actually see an equivalent of this sort of law in any of the developed countries that we look up to in terms of improving our industry. I appreciate the fact that, yes, there are some business activities in real estate that need to be checked and regulated. I think why I support the fact that we need law, to actually regulate these business activities. I don't think it is going to make sense to now hand over the whole industry, the regulation, the operation of the industry in the hands of one private association who are not even professionals, but businessmen. And perhaps because they are so influential, they are able to, manage their way through to getting the law enacted. I think it would have been a disaster for the industry. It would have meant serious crisis for the industry. There would have been serious disincentive for people to actually come in to the industry. And I think the House of Reps did the right thing by actually saying, no, this bill cannot become law. REDAN, I have no problem with REDAN in terms of the business they do, yeah. But the point is, they cannot be handed the responsibility of regulating the industry. What government needs to do is to ensure that the various professional bodies, especially the regulatory boards, live up to their responsibilities and they are made accountable. After all, they were established by Act of Parliament, and I think they need to be accountable. The cases of building collapse, can actually be checked if the professional bodies, especially the regulatory boards, are actually made to actually walk their talk. Thanks to the House of Rep for saving the industry from total collapse. Well, this is all we have time for on this week's edition of Victor Alongi on Real Estate. I hope you have enjoyed it. Thank you for being part of it. Until I come your way next week, please continue to keep safe. Goodbye.